Saeed. Did I say your name right?
Yeah, you actually did.
Saeed.
Not bad. Saeed. Saeed.
Saeed. Sorry.
Saeed.
Saeed.
Yes, sir.
Dating in Australia. Australian girls versus American girls. What's the deal? Hold on.
Dariel _ Frank Castle 512 donated $69.
What the?
Typical stereotype. One hot chick hangs out with two ugly chicks that'll just CCK block her. Jesus, these girls are 19 and already run through. Hashtag Senthin Ukes.
I don't know.
Wow, what a rhyme.
Wait, what?
I wouldn't overthink some comments, to be honest.
I don't think they know what they're saying.
I really don't think they do.
Oh my lord.
Send the nukes.
Wow, great graphics there.
Yeah.
Look at that, Jesus.
Alright.
I didn't understand.
Wait,
But
what?
anyways,
Chest bro.
Rude, by the way.
Go on. So what?
So
What'd you say again, Brian?
First
The rocket's
off,
distracted-
no
the rocket's
woman-
distracted me.
All the women at the table, they're all. They're not. They're all. Oh my god, what am I saying? They're all tens. There's no ugly people here. Australian girls.
Yes.
American girls.
Australian girls versus American girls. Well,
Which you prefer?
Be more descriptive, like elaborate. So I can give you an elaborate answer.
Well, what are the differences when it comes to
Well,
looks, dating, personality?
I would say okay. So I would say in terms of the whole feminist movement and stuff, Australia's probably maybe like 10 years behind America. You guys are a lot more, I don't know what you'd call it, maybe like progressive and all that stuff. Like there's a lot more
Woke, yeah.
LGBTQ, TR, whatever you guys want to call it. You see like there's more of them like around. Like you just see them everywhere in Australia and Sydney where I'm from. They're like you see them, but it's just like not as common. Like over here in California, Los Angeles, it's super common and people are like super open. So that's something that I've only seen out here in Los Angeles. I haven't seen that back in Sydney.
Sure.
So I would say, yeah, you guys are a little bit more open in that sense. In terms of the women, you know, I think Australian women on the whole are a bit more attractive than American women. Not to say that American women aren't attractive. I just prefer Australian women. And in terms of dating, look, it's give or take, it's very similar to America. We're a little bit better, I would say. Like here, the women's standards seem to be a lot more strict and just a lot more like just there's a lot more demand for what women are after. Whereas I feel like in Australia, it's still quite there, but I feel like we're a bit behind on the movement. So I feel like there's still some traditional girls. There's still lots of traditional relationships. There's just less degeneracy. And in saying that, though, I do see things becoming a little bit more swayed towards like how Los Angeles is and California in general within the next 10, 15 years. Because, yeah, times are changing, women are changing, relationships are changing. And just, yeah, the dynamic of like a sexual relationship between a man and woman, woman and woman, man, man, whatever, it's all completely changing. But I just feel like we're behind than America and we're a little bit more... I guess a little bit more private.
Did you ever date an American back in the day?
Never, no.
Yeah.
No.
And then I have a few more questions for you. What race did you play in World of Warcraft and what server? And was it
So
classic?
I didn't play World
Or
of
vanilla?
Warcraft too much. That was more
That was your
Aziz.
bro.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah. I was more like the console gamer. I played Final Fantasy, Zelda: Ocarina of Time, games like that. Like just I was more a console gamer. PS1, PS2.
Sure.
Yes, I can't answer that.
You said that you had your first love and crush leave you mostly because you lost your job. 10 years later, she's what?
Sliding in my DMs.
Ever since you what?
Put on muscle and made money.
Got jacked making money. And then, but so she, the first love.
So she dumped me.
Dumped you because you lost your job.
Yeah, I had a job at the time and I lost my job. And then her and her family made a big deal about me losing my job, that I couldn't provide and that I'm useless and all this kind of stuff. And then 10 years later, probably about a year ago, that she would just like slide in my DMs and reach out and try to make like chit chat and general conversation. And it's like kind of like, you know, too little too late, mate. Like, you know, I've been like progressing on my journey and, you know, just in my life with my career and like, and now you want to come back and like talk to me, like what the hell, like, you know what I mean? So it's just a little bit funny that, you know, once you start doing well for yourself, that everyone just comes out of the woodworks, past relationships, old friends, this and that.
Do you
So
feel
it's-
like that motivated you?
It made me feel good. Yeah, like it was like kind of like the last laugh. I'm just like, haha. Like
Yeah.
it felt great. Like
At
'cause
the time,
she
just-
dumped me, and I was like really, really upset at the
Yeah.
time. You know what I mean? When I was younger. So when I had that approval of her running back, it kind of was like it made me feel good. It's like, haha, this chick's coming back now, and she wants me now when her value's kind of gone down and my value's gone up.
So what advice would you give to men who feel like they're not good enough?
Self-improve. Self-improve in the gym, self-improve with business, just self-improve in general. Find a craft, find a skill, whether that's blue-collar work, you might become an electrician, plumber, whatever it is. Just build on a skill and work on that. Have a side hustle while you're doing your main job. So your main job might be like a 9 to 5. You might be doing some office job that you derive no pleasure, you don't really love, but have a side hustle, whether it's like social media or something on the side that you truly love, that you're truly passionate about, and invest into that over time, and over time hopefully that would take over your main hustle, and then you can do your side hustle as like your career. So that's kind of what happened with me. I was doing odd jobs and working 9 to 5, not really happy, and I had the side hustle of fitness and social media and influencing, and I just eventually over time I just kept plugging away at the social media, and it kind of just naturally took over. So my best advice to young men would be to do the same, to make money, to work hard, not to waste their time. And it's going to sound rich coming from me because I partied a hell of a lot, but not to waste too much time partying and doing the shit that really doesn't matter. Learn skills, learn crafts, build your wealth, and just build yourself up as a man, because when you do, you'll attract the right kind of women and you'll feel better for yourself, actually, than if you're just wasting your 20s just doing stupid shit.
And you also said you wanted to talk about sexual dynamics of what women bring to the table in dating and how men date down
Yes.
versus women dating up.
Yes. So, like we spoke about this earlier. So, as we discussed, like women are literally fighting for, like, I'd say the top 20% of males. You know what I mean? So, income, social status, yada yada yada. Whereas men, as we discussed earlier, typically date down. We're not looking for as many things in a partner as, say, a woman does. You know what I mean? And it's just I think a lot of it has just come down to feminism. I think also just a cultural shift over time as well. I feel like the balance is a little bit skewed. I feel like females now have the power and men are like kind of like this. Whereas before, as we all know, men always had the power since the end of time for centuries and centuries. So obviously there was going to be an imbalance somewhere along the line.
Oops, my bad.
And
That was
women
my
were
bad.
going to fight back, which is, it's expected, you know what I mean? So but then in doing that, when the men were up here,
Terminal_Lance donated $69. Chair 1, 25k
This
off a
is so interesting.
300k house will lower your payment about $150 per month and raise taxes. During Trump, the interest rates were under 3%, which means saving over $700 per month. Hashtag 304 math, hashtag Common Core.
Quick response to that?
Well, I mean, if it's hard right now to save up the money to even put a down payment on the house, at least at that point you have your foot in the door. So it might be a little bit more money at the long run, but at least you're putting your foot in the door. And you don't have to get a $300,000 house. You can get a condo or something else, but I digress.
Yeah.
Politics aren't my
Back to you, though.
thing.
yeah, I think property investments are the best way to build money in today's society, to be honest. But that's a topic day for another discussion. But back to what I was saying. So since the end of time, like, I feel like men have always had the power in relationships, in life, in everything for as longest time, up until I'd say maybe the last 30 years with the wave of feminism. Women kind of like started fighting back, and naturally so, like, but they had no rights for so long. Like, goddamn, like women couldn't even vote, like in like lots of countries only like 30-40 years ago. So it was a little bit skewed too much, and then obviously feminism came in, and then women came up here, men came down here. But now, as that's happened, like, relationships are failing, more marriages are ending in divorce, and it's always like 80% of the divorces are initiated by women leaving the men, and all these kind of things that our parents and our grandparents didn't really think of at the time. So I feel like in time it's going to be more of a balance, and men I feel like it's already happening now. I feel like men are slowly starting to fight back and have like their boundaries and all this kind of stuff, and I feel like we're almost going to be equal, and then it's going to be a place with like an equilibrium.
I don't necessarily think relationships are failing now because of feminism. I feel like back then women didn't really have a choice to leave. Like, what were you going to do? Get a job? You couldn't get a job. You couldn't vote. You couldn't hold a credit card. You couldn't buy a house. Like, you kind of had to rely on the man in your life.
Well,
if
here's
you didn't
the
have a good family.
I feel like men there's less like men being men today, and there's more women that are also being more masculine, more men that are being more feminine, and because of this, it's causing like a disruption in the family unit. You know, the original family unit, the man was the man, and you know, looked after and provided for the family, the children, the wife. And now I feel like, you know, my conspiracy theories for this are wild, but I feel like the government has like done this in a way to put women into the working world, to raise taxes so that the men and the women can get taxed. More money goes back to the government. The household is disturbed. More women are online shopping and spending money away, and it's just all more money is just being plugged into the government, all whilst like disrupting the family unit of men and women, which is causing problems. Problems cause divorce rates are going up. Divorce rates are higher now than they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. So there's obviously a problem, and I feel like there's going to be a rebound, and I feel like eventually it's just going to be equal with men and women, because you know, men can't be all the way up here and women down here, and women can't be human. It just has to be equal. So I feel like when that happens, and I feel like we're not far away from that. I think in the next, I'm gonna call it now, I think in the next maybe 10 to 20 years, shit's going to change a lot. Men are already fighting back. There's a reason these podcasts exist, Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast. There's a big reason why these podcasts exist. They wouldn't have been around or survived 30 years ago, and that's facts. Because a lot of men are sick and tired. A lot of men are fed up. So I feel like, you know, with this pullback, it's going to maybe help women understand like the problems that average men face. And I feel like eventually it's going to just be equal.
I have a question for you. Do you think feminism gave women a sense of entitlement?
I think the original wave of feminism and what feminism stands for was actually a really, really good thing. I think feminism in its core rights was an incredible thing. I really do. I feel like women deserve to vote. I feel like women deserve to drive cars. I feel like women deserve the basic human rights as men do, and I feel like it's wrong.
What feminism is now.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So leading on to what I was about to say, I feel like now it's skewed a little bit too much, and the definition of what feminism is has been completely changed to disrespecting men, downplaying men's efforts, and it's just been completely skewed on the opposite side. And it's like, you know, women hating on men fighting back and getting upset at women, and it's sad because it's just literally it's just disrupted the family unit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas like men need women and women need men. Like we need each other. One can't exist without the other. So I feel like eventually in time people will feel this, and I feel like, you know, it's only a matter of time, to be honest.
It's like it will heal eventually.
Yeah, I think women are going to get over hating men, and men are probably going to get over fighting back with women, trying to prove themselves. And it's just, I feel like it's going to be equal, but it's going to be a bit of time because, like I said, since the end of time, the power balance of men compared to women has been greatly skewed, like huge. You know what I mean? Like, 100 years ago, women weren't allowed to work, vote. Only 100 years ago. In how long have we been on this earth? How long have humans been around for?
About, I think.
Not even, you know what I mean? Not even if you
years.
think about how long humans have been, like our ancestors, Neanderthals, everything, since the end of time, since all caveman running around, like the man pulling the woman's hair, throwing him into the cave, going out, hunting with spears, getting animals. Like, since the end of time, men have just had the power. So because of that, like this feminism thing, it's going to be strong, and it's going to last for a while. But when it evens out, shit's going to go back to normal. I truly believe it. And I think women want to be feminine. I feel like they craved being feminine for the right man. And I feel like men, you know, deep down, their innate nature is to be masculine, but this shit's just getting like translated. It's just all getting jumbled with what you see now, you know, like men afraid of being men, women afraid of being women, and men are getting labeled like toxic masculine for things like going to the gym and, you know, like wanting to work out or wanting to play sports or, you know, just like wanting to self-improve. It's such a strange phenomenon that I'm witnessing because I've been in like both eras, you know, like you guys got to remember I'm almost 40 years old, so I've seen like around when my time, like when I was like up and running, like around 18, it was so different. Like girls would literally just come up and have conversations with you, and there wasn't anything expected like a date or anything like that, and you could literally just take a girl on a date to like McDonald's at like such a young age, and nothing was thought of it. And now if like something like that's mentioned even to like an 18-year-old girl, that's like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? So I take it back to originally what I was saying, like the top 20% of men are being fought for by 100% of women.
Some analysis.
Just shedding that chest bra wisdom.
Just really quick, I'm curious on the feminism thing. Who here considers themselves a feminist? Starting with you, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I consider myself a feminist, but I don't think I'm like a toxic feminist. Like
Mm.
my man opens the door for me, and he, pulls my chair out for me, and
Here, I'll give you the charitable definition of
Yeah.
feminism. So, oh boy. Okay. Hold on. Let me walk you through this. Hold on. Don't freak out. Okay. Go to the sources tab. Hide StreamYard. Hold on. Let's just bring it center. Okay. Hide StreamYard. Yeah, click that. Okay. Can you try to figure out? Okay. So you can't. You got. Okay. Can you bring it back F11?
If you see
OBS
my
back,
mom,
please.
she does not even look like that.
Okay.
She's 65.
All right. So, okay, here's the charitable definition of feminism. Feminism is a movement towards equality or egalitarianism, or some people use equity, with a rejection of patriarchy. So, do you consider yourself a feminist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
By the way, that's my charitable It's actually my like super charitable definition, but
I don't really think so. No.
not a feminist. Okay, she's a Trump voter after
Yeah.
all. Yes, feminist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hell no.
Hell no.
No.
Male feminist? Definitely.
No.
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 There is male feminists, isn't there?
There definitely
Oh well,
are.
they're a strange bunch.
Definitely are.
They're a strange bunch indeed.
Well, for the sake of time, there are a couple things that have been said I kind of wanted to jump in on. The chat was begging me to hop in on some of these things. Unfortunately, for the sake of time, I can't really address every single one of the claims that you made. I do actually want to just quickly touch on this whole like women couldn't vote thing. While that is true, and I sent you a thing to pull up in the Dropbox thing, if we can get that pulled up. So it's sort of a odd relooking of history, because for most of human history, neither men or women could vote. Like, so if we pull up the chart. Sorry, guys.
You could.
All right. Okay. Can you hide the TTS thing, please? All right. So, countries with universal right to vote. So, brown is no universal right to vote. The light blue is universal right to vote for only men, universal right to vote for men and women. Make it one smaller, please, so I can see the dates. Okay. So, there's maybe like a very small period between prior to 1850, almost nobody, it was like kings, queens, lords, all that shit. Like the average typical man couldn't vote either. 1850 started introducing it for landowners and then men. And then, so within less than a 50 to 100 year period from when men got the vote and from when women got the vote, it's a very small period. Now, you might say, well, even that 100 or 50 year period, that's really unfair that men had it before women. But so men had a corresponding duty and responsibility that women to this day still don't have, albeit you were still able to secure a privilege, a right, voting, without having the corresponding duty and responsibility that men have. Do you know what this is?
War.
Yeah, war.
Yeah. So in 1914, 1918, just before, conveniently, women got the right to vote, we had the most catastrophic war that ever occurred. Men were drafted into this war. Men were drafted into the Civil War. Men were drafted into the War for Independence, Revolutionary War. And so it's interesting to me, though, that we overlook this fact that men had to literally die in order to be able to get the right to vote, and you women were able to secure it without having to do anything.
Well, I don't know. I feel like women did do things to try to get their vote. Like,
Well, sure, you did things to get the vote, but what obligation to the country do you have?
no, I understand that. I think women should be drafted.
But they're not.
I know they're not, but
Right.
I think it would be fair it would be fair if you can vote, you know, you should also be able to be drafted whether your gender or not.
Well, I agree with you for the sake of equality. Even if women were subject to the draft, there's a couple things here. Two, even if they were drafted, they probably wouldn't be put in those frontline positions anyways.
Yeah.
So that would still be
Still not
a
equal.
privilege and benevolence on the part of men. And then you also have a way out. So this actually happens with women who volunteer for the military. If they're about to get deployed, they just get pregnant.
Yeah.
A lot of these women, to avoid getting deployed, even if they're volunteer for it, not all women do this, but they just get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then they can't be deployed.
That
So
is
you always
interesting.
have a way out, whereas with men, I mean, you could fake an injury or hurt yourself in some way. But yeah, most men don't have the option to really get out of it. In any case, women can't be drafted as it currently stands. So it's kind of not
Yeah,
even
that
worth
is unfair.
exploring those other things. But so
That's
just-
why we need the robots.
the war robots.
The
I
war
guess?
robots.
Yeah. But but do you think we should get rid of the draft? Because that would create,
Yeah, that would make it-
create an equality.
Yeah, I mean, if we got rid of the draft, then it would create a more equal
It would be
choice.
equal, right? And feminism's about equality, right?
But, you know, then we have to also worry about our government or our military being strong enough to protect us from allies as well.
That's actually a
Yeah.
very good point.
But that is a very good
But-
point.
So what do? We either get rid of the draft for men and create equality, or do we draft women to also get equality? What do we do?
I feel like getting rid of the draft because I feel like men would hop in to go to war anyway.
Get rid of the draft? Should we get rid of the draft for equality?
No.
Keep the draft.
Yeah.
So you're fine, and are you fine with women being drafted?
Yes. Yes, I am fine with women being
Okay.
drafted.
What should we do
I honestly.
for equality?
I mean, I guess women can do it if they want.
Wait.
Like-
So it's not if they want.
Well, like if they like to get drafted, like women, like I feel like it should be equal, like men and
Okay.
women. It shouldn't just
should
all
it be?
be men.
Should women be drafted?
Yeah.
You get drafted tomorrow, sent to Middle East,
No.
sent to
I
Russia,
couldn't
sent
do
to
that.
China,
I couldn't do it, but I'm sure.
some future conflict. You wouldn't do it.
No.
Yeah, but you don't get if you get drafted,
I
they
know.
force you.
Well, yeah.
And you're able-bodied, right?
Yeah.
Ah,
I
you're getting
guess.
drafted. What do you think? Should women be drafted into the mic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Wait, I have a question, and this is going to seem like I'm not saying this is I got to preface it. I'm not saying that this should be the case. I'm just like, it's a thought experiment here.
Yeah.
So, do you think all of you said that? I mean, it sounds like you're all in favor of the draft, right? Yeah. Like, perhaps you all acknowledge that in the event of, for example, some other country invaded us and we didn't have enough volunteer force, you would agree that in order to defend the country from some like invading barbaric country that wants to like kill everybody and like put all the men to the sword and like do what they might do to women, you would agree that the government should reserve the right to be able to force men to fight for the country. Fair proposition? You would agree, right?
I don't know. I want to disagree just because I don't feel like anybody should be forced to do anything. But it's at this
Right.
point, it's like we either
But okay,
go in
so-
or we all die.
But so here, let me give you this scenario, right? So okay, some country out there is a significant threat, and we know that our volunteer force, if we don't draft men, that this I can't think of a specific, I don't know, some other country, invading country. If we don't draft men, they're going to win the war, and then they're going to kill all the men, all the boys,
Yeah.
and then they're going to essay all the women.
Yeah.
Do you think that if we know that, if we have some foresight that this would be the outcome, under these circumstances, should you be able to force men to go and fight a war and die for the sake of the country?
I still don't like it, but I guess so. I mean, it's otherwise we all die, so it has to be the force, because then everyone dies.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Sure.
it's sad.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. Again, I'm not saying this should be. This is just a thought experiment. Let's say that there was a population collapse happening. And for some reason, feminism took the brain virus or whatever, and women refused to mate with men. And this is worldwide, for example. Worldwide, women just refuse to have children, and it spelled the end of the species, right? Now, the government has an interest in continuing the species. Do you think it would be okay for the government to force women to have children?
I'm going to say no, and my reason why, I know what you're going with this, is that it's not everyone is going to lose their life.
Well,
If women don't. It would be the extinction of a species, but everyone still
It would be the end of
gets-
the species.
Yes.
Okay.
But nobody is losing their life to war. It's just
But it would be
people
the
are choosing.
end of the species.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Go quietly into the night.
Sure. Do you think that would be appropriate?
I don't think it's good to force women to be pregnant. I don't agree. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, and the species, all right, what do you think?
I think if it's for like to reproduce and like start another population, yeah, but I just don't like the forcing aspect. That's like really wrong.
I think there's other ways than to force people. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I probably, the extinction would be better.
Extinction better? Okay.
I might rather,
Neither's
I don't know.
good, obviously, but like.
What about petri dish babies?
Yeah. Robots,
Let's just say-
again,
let's
it's
just
the
assume-
answer.
Well, I mean, I might even be prepared to grant that the woman doesn't even have to have sex.
Oh, okay. Like
So she could be artificially inseminated.
No, still no.
she has to carry the child. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
she has to
9
carry the
months.
pregnancy.
Would
Yeah.
you do that if you were a girl?
And the species dependent on it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you have to raise the child?
I suppose you do, yeah.
Some people aren't suited out for that. I don't think you should force someone to do that.
Well, at the cost of the extinction of the species? Here, let's go get everybody's answer on this.
Yeah, extinction.
Extinction
I don't want kids, but I would have them for that.
for the sake
Yes.
of...
I would have kids for that.
Okay. It's just interesting.
I don't know. I feel like you could do better where you can, women don't want to have kids. Okay, then let's make it easier for women to, families to have houses. And if you have kids, you get more tax breaks or do something so that women want to have kids. Make childcare more affordable. Like, I feel like that is a way better place to go than just forcing women to have children. Like women, I think every woman, mostly 80% of women would want to have a kid. I would want to have a kid, but I want to have a stable
Here,
home and
maybe-
everything first.
I know this is the scenario. I feel like I could probably come up with a better scenario. How about this? Oh, here's better. Maybe chat can tell me what they think about this. So, in order to fend off, and we see this invasion coming in 20 years' time. We have this is even getting more fantasy. Okay, the invasion is coming in 20 years' time, and 50% of the women they don't want to have kids, and 50% do. So it's not like some weird thing where all the women just stop wanting to have kids. But it doesn't even have to be 50% of the women. It could be 20%. I think maybe 20% of women don't want to have kids. If we don't birth more children, if the women don't birth more children, birth more warriors, birth more soldiers, this invading country is going to wipe us out and then essay all the women.
Well, then, yeah.
Can the government then compel the women who don't want to give birth to protect, to fend off this future threat?
But see, that's the same thing as the draft thing. Like, people are going to lose their lives. Like and everybody dies. So at that point, it changes the game. Like everyone you love and know gets murdered by aliens, or you have a kid to make a soldier. Like, I feel like most people would do that.
Right, but let's assume that the women, they don't want to.
I don't know. Then you're going to have a lot more people to fight than just
50%.
aliens. You're going to have half your species.
Here's the scenario. 50% of women are going to give birth to a bunch of kids. 50% don't want to do it, but 25% of the 50%, do it for the greater good, but we still need that final 25% to like birth children so that we get more soldiers, so we don't get fucked because we got some future vision Minority Report shit. Should the government be allowed to force women to give those 25% of women to give birth?
I think giving an incentive would be a lot like a better, a plausible like thing to do.
So money. That's
Some
fair.
sort of
Yeah,
benefit.
so
Or
the
community.
government,
Yeah.
sure. I'll even grant that the government will financially support the child rearing expenses and the hospital, the health bills, whatever.
Then, yeah, I would say, I don't know.
Makes it better.
It makes it better.
But do you, let's say you can vote. You can vote yes or you can vote no on this bill that the government's trying to pass.
I would say no, because I think if people know that there's a war coming and they're going to be worried, they're not going to want to die, and they're going to naturally just start producing more out of fear.
Wait,
Yeah.
Out of fear. Like you're not going to just sit there and let nothing happen.
Yeah,
You're gonna, out of fear, you're going to want
If somebody told me there's aliens
Yes.
coming and we're all gonna die and we need
Sure.
to have children, I'd start popping them out.
Okay.
You wouldn't have to force me. I would be like, all right, let's use these breeding hips. They're ready.
There you go. So, okay, so do you vote yes or no on this measure?
I still don't think people need to be forced, so no.
Well, so here's the thing. You know that if the vote doesn't end up as a yes in totality, you won't be able to breed enough soldiers and you're going to get, your country's gone. So, yes, I mean, it can still be a no. I'm not trying to push you into a, you can still say no, but that's what's at stake.
Yeah.
What do you pick?
I guess at that point it's last resort, so I change my answer. I'll do yes.
I also will change my answer. It's just unreasonable to let everyone die,
Okay.
unfortunately.
I would say yes.
I don't know, but I'm glad this is a hypothetical question.
Yeah.
It's a hypothetical. It's a hypothetical. It's a thought experiment. Wait, did you answer?
No, I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how we feel about being forced to go to war. And actually, it's not even. It's not even. It's
I did say no
like
to the
that's the
draft,
level
so-
of unfairness to the
Yeah.
man. Actually, it's worse. Hold on. It's worse. It's worse. For us to be drafted than for the reverse. Because you go to war, you die.
Yeah, but women still die during pregnancy too.
It's less than war.
I don't know. I still think the robots are going to be the answer.
So it's just, and then also, yeah. Anyways, that was an interesting, I don't know.
Everyone just got sadder in this room.
The end of everyone.
It's an interesting thought experiment. Okay, let me finish up the notes here. So, okay, let's see. We got almost done here. We have, you got, it's just the notes for you, Marcy. So, when you lost your virginity, why don't you tell us that
Oh
story?
God. I did not know if he was inside of me or not. I had to ask him twice.
And you
I'm
were
still not
virgin?
even sure if we did. I'm not even kidding.
Was
I'm
it-
still not even sure.
was
He
it-
wasn't a micro. I just,
Just-
it was a first for him, a first for me,
Oh, he was also a virgin.
and it showed.
Oh.
That's a bad first experience
It was
for the
super
guy.
awkward. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to ask if he was twice.
Yeah.
Was he inside of you?
I still don't know.
You didn't look?
He said he
Just
was.
look.
I had no fucking idea what I was doing either.
Yeah,
I was
it was
brand
like-
new to this.
It was your thigh, or I don't know.
I don't know. I felt
He
like a
made sweet
squishing.
love
It was
to
weird.
Let's see. Okay, that's interesting. That is like one of the worst things a woman can say, by the way. It's like, is it in yet? Oh man.
I learned that the one the hard way.
Can we close the doors, by the way? Yeah. So. Yeah. You said you're in an age gap relationship. We already talked about that.
Yep.
You said women need to stop empowering women with bad advice and using their mental illness as an excuse or identity.
Yep.
You want to elaborate, or is that pretty much it?
So, just from what I've noticed from people in my own social circle and myself, because I used to do this, I would kind of dictate my friendships and relationships based on my traumas from the past. So if I had a jealousy issue, you had to like contend with that, and you had to make sure that you were tiptoeing around that and accommodating my jealousy. And I didn't realize at the time that that's bullshit. I had to fix that shit in myself first. But I hear women giving women information like, well, if he's not taking your jealousy into consideration, then, you know, fuck him, or do like an eye for an eye thing.
It's just projection, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like it's bad information because it's women who have been hurt giving other women who have been hurt bad information and bad advice, and they're all. I'm gonna reference the Barbie movie because I think that movie was atrocious for women.
Oh, I haven't
Just
seen it.
dead, like awful. The whole monologue that the one character gives about how like you can't be too skinny, you can't be too this, you can't be too loud, you can't be too quiet. It's like men are not doing that to us. Y'all, we're doing it to each other, and we need to stop, or else we're just going to continue to fight amongst ourselves, and nobody's going to grow. Thank you.
Can I just say something? I mean, and women don't really have many positive female role models to look up to. Like, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like what, Kim Kardashian, Cardi B, Queen Latifah. I don't know. There's no one. Like
Nicki Minaj.
if you think of men, there's so many positive male role models that young men could look up to. I think what the world needs is more positive female role models.
The Swifties are going to come after you.
I know they are. I know.
But I think she is awful for women.
Yeah, you know.
Awful.
So I think that's what's needed. I think some positive female role models that could guide and help the youth, because I don't see, or I don't know any. I mean, unless you girls can name some.
I've seen businesswomen, but I don't know their names. They're
No,
not that high status.
Kristen Bell's pretty cool. I mean, look at Blake Lively. She's pretty cool. I mean,
She's very cool.
I don't know.
Bridget
who they are, sorry.
Mendler.
Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Bridget Medler, I'll give you that one. I will give you that one because she started off as a child star and then now she's an
Amy
aerospace
Poehler?
engineer with NASA.
Who's
I
this?
will.
No
Bridget
idea who that
Medler.
is.
you don't know who
She was
Amy
in
Poehler is? The Office?
No.
Sorry.
I've heard of The
She was in
Office.
The
I've heard of
Office?
The Office.
Amy
No.
Poehler.
I'm sorry, not Amy Poehler in The Office.
Oh.
I'm saying she was in Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec.
Oh, Amy
thank you.
Poehler is who you're talking about.
Sorry.
I feel like, okay, if we can name some, that's great. I feel like there just needs to be more of
Yes,
them.
agreed.
Much more.
Yeah. And going back to that, I also think that I can only speak from a woman's perspective, but we need to be more self-accountable for a lot of the stuff that we put ourselves through. I wouldn't say necessarily like everything that we go through is not necessarily our fault, but it is our responsibility to own what happened, move past it, and no longer use it as an excuse for why you act the way you are, or use it for blackmail towards the guy that you're with, or use it towards blackmail against your friends. I feel like I see women fighting more with each other than for each other. You might, I see women like fighting for each other face to face, but the minute people walk away from each other is, God, she's such a bitch. The shit talking starts immediately.
That's okay.
I feel like there's no trust, full trust among women.
Okay.
I see backstabbing, conniving, and manipulation more than I see actual, genuine care for.
I would disagree. I feel like a lot of my female interactions have always been super positive, and I'm a stripper. I work in a strip club, and I've had way more positive interactions with women, and that's like, then you're involving money and you're involving like territories and stuff. I don't know. Have you thought maybe it's just like your like city is more?
I've lived in multiple places and I've
Okay.
seen it all over the place. And I'm not saying it's all of them. It's definitely not everybody. It's not all women. It's not a blanket statement. It's just, I would say it's a majority.
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of this, well, I have PTSD, I was SA'd, I was this, I was that. But now it's your responsibility as the person in my life to make sure that none of that comes up.
Well, yeah.
So it's like, I feel like nobody's talking about their triggers, nobody's talking about their traumas. And this goes for men too. Like, the conversations need to happen.
Well, absolutely. I definitely feel like people should have some sort of regulation about how they feel. Like, you can't help what situations happen to you, but you can help how you react to them.
Exactly.
And I feel like that is something everybody can learn.
Yeah. And I don't see that amongst, at least what I see on a regular basis.
Okay.
So.
You said that women have become the problem with their entitlement and enabling?
So this is why I asked you about if you think feminism created an entitlement, because I think it did. I think women have put themselves on a pedestal, especially with this boss-ass bitch mentality. I feel like if you are a boss-ass bitch, you don't have to say shit.
I agree with that.
But the more you preach it, I feel like you're hiding something, or you're trying to manipulate something to get something more.
I agree with that.
Because, I mean, a duck doesn't tell you it's a duck to know it's a duck.
It's kind of like when people say they're really smart, but it's usually the people who say they're smart are the dumbest ones in the room.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Oh, no, you want to finish? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. You said that you used to be one of those shaved head, blue hair chicks, feminists, who thought she had all the answers.
Oh, yeah.
I had the side of my head shaved. I went through blue hair, black hair, pink hair, you name it. And I seriously thought that I was finding myself, that I was like in it. I knew exactly what was going on. I was more lost in that moment than I was ever in my life. And I realized the people I was around were doing the same thing I was. We were living in our victimization. We were living in our traumas. And we thought we were helping each other through them. We thought we were talking it out. But in reality, we were more enabling the behavior of the victimization and all that stuff. It wasn't until I cut myself away from those people that I started to heal on my own, and I started to realize that those people weren't uplifting. And then now I'm back to blonde and not shaved.
I find that very interesting, actually. Well, so you've been on like both ends, and you're saying
I completely lost myself. And had to find it.
That's quite interesting, because then what you're saying is like very important. I think everyone should take note, because you've obviously been on both ends, and obviously it's not a war against men, and feminism in itself didn't start off as being a bad thing, but I think what you're saying is correct. Like, it's just gone to a point where it's just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And, that's why these podcasts and these lonely ass men in their basement writing all these comments on here exist, and all this kind of shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's very interesting to hear that from that point of view.
None of them are in the
I appreciate
basement.
that.
They're all giga chads with giant penises. They're all rich.
They're all wrecked
and
all
they
the time.
bench press more than you.
Don't stay with their moms.
And it's not even to say that like men are the problem or women are the problem. We are all our own problem, and until we fix our own problem, it's going to continue to be a men versus women thing, because nobody's going to actually just be like, wait a minute, I got to look in the mirror and be like, what the fuck am I doing to mess up my own life?
Yeah, I agree
and
with
then
that.
make the changes from there.
And then just to kind of get through your notes here, you said, I had more of a bro phase than a hoe phase. Instead of sleeping with a bunch of dudes, I was friends with a lot of guys, and I would bro down.
Yeah.
Guys are way less stressful to be friends with. I have 7 bros. Like,
I have 7 brothers.
friends?
Like I have
Or
7
brothers.
brothers.
Oh, wow.
Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to, I speak dude.
Yeah.
And are you like in the middle?
I'm the middle, and I'm the only girl.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You said women need to take more accountability for their own actions and how they get themselves in certain situations. They also need to learn to speak the words they mean, not just use words to make a point or emphasize. More women who falsely accused a man of R or SA than who actually had it happen to them. Women also throw around those two terms way too easily.
Yes. I feel like there's a lot of terms that are thrown around, like the word trigger, the word traumas, all these words, because they mean something.
Abuse.
Yeah, they mean something
Narcissism.
so big.
I agree with that.
They're trying, and I get it, because we're trying to get a point across.
Yeah.
And instead of articulating the words, we're just grabbing a word that sounds powerful.
Let me tell you, I've been assaulted way more by women in the strip club than I ever have men. Women are the worst in the strip club.
Wait,
and women don't want to talk about women being creepers.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about that.
They touch the most, they do the most inappropriate stuff. The men are way more respectful. And
Well, you have something on that too, right?
I do. And I won't go into too much about it, but I was SA'd underage by a female babysitter. So,
Oh my God.
Sorry to hear that.
Yes. So, women are a fucking problem, guys.
yeah.
Like, I know men can be a problem too, but let's look in the mirror, please.
I agree.
Even the ladies out there watching, please, for the love of God, look in the fucking mirror.
Well, sorry to hear that you went through that.
Thank you.
But you said women can be predators too. And then you